amount of detail. But to be fair, our accounts are relatively simple. They're not complicated. And so therefore, Richard is quite used to going through our accounts because he's done it so many years.
Yeah.
So he can spot things pretty quickly. But you're right, he will send us a report saying he hasn't found any issues. And then he'll sign that to say that's the case.
Hopefully that's a precursor to the external audit.
External audit is the important one because that's the one that has legislative responsibility. So if they don't like what we've put, they can get quite punchy over it. You know, it's a bit like an inland revenue inspection. They can be quite forceful if they're not happy with what's gone on. So we just have to be mindful of that when we put the external audit papers in. But I would be amazed if they found anything. But you know, it's all there if they wish to examine it. Just a matter of interest for those who perhaps have seen, I keep something called a red book, and in my red book, which is the thing that anybody can examine at any time for the year, it's got everything in the red book to do with this year's accounts: annual accounts, payroll, budget, cash book, the audit, Unity Trust banking, bank reconciliation, internal controls, and office expenses, and all of that is in that book. So if anybody came along and said, "Look, I want to see your council accounts, and I want to see what you're doing," there you are. It's all there. And that's the easy way to present it, really. Okay. Now the other thing is I need to get you to agree and to sign the AGAR, which is the external auditor sheet. Now, I sent out to you a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, a sort of list of things that the internal audit was asking for. And I'll just give you a couple of things there. I'm not going to go through the whole 9 of them, but it says we have put in place arrangements for effective financial management during the year and for the preparation of the accounting statements. So that was the purpose of the audit we had last week, just to check that. We maintain an adequate system of internal control, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud and corruption. And again, one of the things that they're looking for there is that the council has looked at all the budgets during the year, they have seen the finances during the year, and it hasn't just been the clerk sort of producing them at the end of the year and no one's seen anything. So it's those sort of questions, and we have to tick yes on all of those if we want to sign it. Now, you know, I'm not telling you to say yes to all of them because you've obviously had a look at it, but that's what they're asking for. So you need to approve that in the first instance. I need to sign it, Bob needs to sign it, and it has to be recorded as a minute. The second sheet is the accounting statements, which is numbers basically. So those numbers have come off the account I've just talked you through. Those numbers then have to tally with last year's. So what ended last year has to start correctly this year. But this has to be a separate minute, so that what the external auditor is saying effectively is you have to agree that first with 1 minute, and then if you're happy with that, the second minute is the actual numbers.
Oh, do you mind resending that? I checked through my emails earlier and I don't remember seeing that, so I may just have missed it.
I copied off pretty well all of those questions,
right, okay.
and I put in red what we've done about them. That's on there.
So it was dated March the 26th.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And it was headed council audit.
What I can do for you, if you want me to, I'll resend it to you.
No, it's fine. I will email you tomorrow if I haven't got it. I might just have accidentally found it.
So that's everybody.
Yes.
I haven't received. We need to vote on this.
We do. So we might, with what's there at the moment, we might need to just read out what the questions are.
Let's read. We took all reasonable steps to assure. So the two I've just read. We took all reasonable steps to assure ourselves that there are no matters of actual or potential non-compliance with laws, regulations and proper practices that could have significant financial effect on the ability of its authority to conduct its business or manage its finances. In other words, are you happy that we've done what we should have done to do that?
And with that,
Yeah.
We provided proper opportunity during the year for the exercise of electors' rights in accordance with the requirements of the accounts and audit regulations. Last June, on the notice boards, I put up the electors' rights notices on the notice board, and it also went onto the website as well. So that was what we did to comply with that particular thing.
Okay, just to confirm, members are happy that you've dealt with that. Okay.
We carried out an assessment of the risks facing the authority and took appropriate steps to manage those risks, including the introduction of internal controls and or external insurance cover where required. One of the papers I sent you today was an internal control statement, which said that we've done the various things that we've done, and also the risk management. We take steps to ensure that we don't fall foul of any risks that may apply to the council.
Reminder, those are the two documents that came out today that you should all have had to show that you complied to that one. So again, you're happy that we've complied with that one? Okay.
We maintain throughout the year an adequate, effective system. No, that's right. We maintain throughout the year an adequate and effective system of internal audit of the accounting records and control system. We had 2 internal meetings during the year, which dealt with that, and so that's, you're happy with that.
Okay, members are happy with that one. Okay.
This one is quite an important one. We consider whether any litigation liabilities or commitments, events or transactions occurring either during or after the year end have a financial impact on this authority, and where appropriate have included them in the accounting statements. So what it's saying is during the year we considered any risks that we might be taking on behalf of Brent Knoll, and of course this year is particularly important because of the shock and the money that was going backwards and forwards. I mean, there was a risk.
Yeah, but you advised us.
Yes.
You advised us of what we were doing.
Yeah.
And we knowingly entered into that.
Yes.
So
yes.
you advised us, and we're happy.
And they're clear that the taking out of the loan that we did, which is obviously a commitment that we've made beyond this financial year, but again, that was discussed widely and agreed. So that's ticked.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's basically it. Now the other thing is,
So
that's all of those.
Okay.
Can I therefore propose, first of all, then, that we accept this particular, what document is it?
This is the annual governance statement.
Okay, I propose that we accept the annual governance statement that has just been.
Could I add to your proposal, if you're happy to do that, that you instruct the clerk and the chair to sign said form?
And I would like the clerk and chairman to sign on our behalf.
Fabulous. Is that seconded? Thank you. All those in favour that we do that? That's
That's the top box there, actually. Yeah. And I'll sign that one. Okay, and I'll put the minute in that and when we get it. And now the second one is the figures, which obviously are the accounts effectively. So you just need to agree to those. Now I haven't circulated this particularly, but I have circulated the accounts for which these are taken from. So
if members have got the accounts, do you want to just
yeah, well, if you take, so for example, if you've got a copy of accounts, basically we started the year, and this is start really, we started at 76,070. We had precept of 60,000. We had total other receipts of 261,926. You'd have to calculate these because obviously one of the things about the receipts is the PWLB loan is included in there. I had to query this with Scribe Accounting today because they further down they put total borrowings separately, and I said, well, if we don't put the borrowings within our total other receipts, the numbers won't add up. So they said, no, you should put it in there. So I've done that. Staff costs 11,482. Our interest payments to date are 6,188 to PWLB. All other payments are 322,650. Our balance is carrying forward 57,600. I'm sure that's supposed to be actually 50. That's not quite right. It is. Yeah, 57,677. And then that's to carry forward for next year. So 57,677 carries forward into the new financial year. Our total fixed assets. Now that's the other thing. We've increased our assets considerably this year.
Sure.
Because of course the toilet block was only ever measured at £1 because that's what we paid for it. So consequently, it was never included in our asset apart from that £1. That's one thing they might pick up at the external auditor because suddenly we jumped from 23,000 to 245,000 of assets. Now, if they read the rest of it, they'll see why, because they'll see the other payments and other receipts. And I've deducted from the bottom figure, 153,712 deducted from our loan, the 6,188 was the payments we've actually made. So we actually owe PWRB 153,712. So that's how that all kind of works. And I did check that with Scribe this afternoon just to make sure that that's exactly what the external auditor wants. And they said it was. So I was confident that we're doing the right thing. Because it was a bit of a new experience this year. There was a lot of new things there this year we had to make sure of. So
Can I propose we accept that, subject to that they do match the accounts, because I'm unable to tally them.
Well,
So
I will send you a copy of this anyway. Before I send it to the external auditor, I will send you a copy completed. Okay.
but as long as they match, I'm happy to propose that.
Do you also sign it? So should
Yes.
you also
And you
clarify that?
you would
And the
authorise us
clerk
to sign
and the
it.
chair also sign that.
Thank
So
you.
I've got to sign it as the responsible financial officer. And so put it on today's date.
That's the date.
That's the date, which is 02 2025. The minute I can't put in, and the chair signs there.
How's it April already?
So that document now will go with this file to Richard Young, and he will do his internal audit and raise anything that he wants to
But
raise.
if you don't mind sharing the whole thing, because I definitely didn't get that email on the 26th.
Okay,
so.
I'll share the whole thing with you, and I'll, as I say, I will send you the AGI report anyway. Because that does go online eventually, of course, the AGI report does actually go on the website.
One thing I mean, Michael, worth also looking at is you've done for us before an asset register.
Yes.
In fact, there's been that big
Yes.
change.
Yes.
If we could do an updated version of that in the next couple of months, because there'll be other stuff being added as well. So.
Yeah. Well, I've updated it so far, but there may be some other things to add to it. So, because with the asset register, you would think, and I'm sure John, being in his line of business, normally you actually down value, don't you? After a period of time, you actually down value. We're not allowed to do that, parish councils. When we buy something, that remains on the asset register at that price forever. Right. So it's either on there at the price we purchased it for, or it comes off completely. It never changes. It never, which is a strange way of doing assets. But that's just the way they operate.
That computer you bought 50 years ago is still worth 500 pounds. Could you wear with a car?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that concludes
Imagine having our own parish council. You get a bus.
And you've got a contract.
Village contract. I've suggested we defer that to the 9th of April meeting, so we can have a chance to have a more detailed look at it. The village contract comes up not until the end of we start to look at it in September this year. But I think there might be some sort of discussions amongst the council on how we move forward on that, whether we make any changes or whatever. But I will try and give you the paperwork ready for the 9th before that meeting.
And just to confirm, the village contract is the general maintenance of the village. Yeah, correct. Yes.
And that was Amanda's comment, wasn't it, about making sure we understand.
Yeah. And then there's one other thing I've got on the financials, which is we had an estimate from Premier Fencing. Bob and I met with them at the last surgery.
Yes, just to make so members are aware, so we carried out some maintenance on Village Green. Post that maintenance being carried out, one or two members of the public have raised the issue about the possibility that because the matrix wasn't where the matrix used to be, that balls could leave the Village Green and hit cars that were in the car park. So we got an estimate as to what it would cost to put an additional element of fencing along the area where at the front of the green that we just cleared, just as an idea to get an estimate as to what it would be. It may well be that, well, I'll let Owen explain what the quotes are and then we can decide what action we take.
Quite meaty actually. They gave us two quotes, one for the green fencing to continue from where it is just along as far as the start of the gate, and that was a height that would be suitable for kicking balls at whatever, and that came out at 1,295. And then they gave us another quote for taking that green fencing all the way along, right to the very far end, including reconfiguring the gate area somewhat. And that came at 3,231. So quite a substantial investment there, actually.
Do they specify a height?
What are they saying? 1200 millimetre by 360 millimetre double leaf gate. That's the gate. Just looking at the actual. We offered to take down and remove existing post and rail fencing, supply and install 7 metres of 2.4 metre high.
So that's over 6 feet.
8
4.
Yeah, is that high enough?
So basically,
That's about the same.
it's
Is
the
that
same
what
as
that
the
is?
wire fencing that's out
Okay.
there at the moment.
That's okay, yes.
But it's also that's based on exactly the same sort of wire fencing. Whether that is necessary is up to members to decide, or whether we should be looking at alternatives that might fill the gap in
We're
the
not trying to
meantime.
kick your arse, you know, here.
Confiscate balls. Just have a sign, no ball gates in the village.
Swallows it on with that. So, yeah, it's over to you, really.
Has there been any incidents of the balls going in?
My understanding is that almost immediately that the thing changed. There were 1 or 2 balls that came across. Since then, I've not heard anything. There was one report I had of a ball going across the road, but then that could happen across where the gate is at the moment. So
I'd like to propose that instead of that, we